Welcome to the Move Well, Live More podcast, where we discuss topics from exercise and nutrition to health and lifestyle tips for your overall quality of life. Hello, welcome to another episode of the Move Well, Live More podcast. My name is Rachel. I'm a coach and creative director at Move, and we have...
Hi, I'm May. I'm the educator as well as a coach in Move as well.
Right, and today's episode we are going to talk about non-exercise activity thermogenesis and your health. Okay, in short, all those big words, let's call it NEAT today. N-E-A-T. All right, so some of you might be going, wait, what is this fancy term NEAT? Well, in previous episodes, we mentioned how important it is to move and how your body is designed to do so. And moving, I think May has mentioned before that it's not just about training or exercise, but it includes non-exercise or non-training movements. Things like
Fidgeting,
scratching
standing,
head. Yeah,
rolling on a bed.
yeah, I'm shaking my leg below the chair table. You can't see, but yeah, things like that. These are things that you do on a daily basis, unintentionally or sometimes intentionally, but not really like planned like an exercise session.
I think definitely we will have to talk about the unintentional part and the intentional part. A lot of people might get a little bit confused on that.
Yes, we will clarify that. Give us some time, okay? We will talk about why this not so sexy topic is such a powerful thing to add to your quality of life and why it is talked about even more nowadays in the modern world that we live in. But in short, NEAT is a fancy term for the energy burnt through everything we do except, like I said just now, exercise, training, sports-like kind of activities, or even sleeping. So anything other than that, whatever you do could be considered as NEAT. May,
is it time to get sciencey?
Yes, it is time to get sciencey. You know, it's really going to be an interesting one because we've gathered some questions that we asked our coaches collect from their clients when everyone has some interest in the word NEAT, how it benefits us, but there's a lot of confusion that comes along with it as well. So, and like things like how to track it or how to incorporate it in your busy lives. So we will go into all of that.
So I guess this is where I come into...
Yes, you are the one that's more articulate in terms of the science explanation behind things. So maybe May, you can help us understand what really is NEAT, like the definition of it.
I guess one thing that why we still want to define it in a scientific way or understand why is it defined the way it is because we need to actually look at what is involved. So you gave a very good explanation already in the beginning. It is about energy expenditure. In a layman terms, that means the calorie that you use to stay alive. So basically, a lot of people are probably not aware that by just staying alive, you need to use energy. You need to burn energy. Let's assume that everybody is kind of confused. I'm going to paint the picture.
Yeah,
right
give
now,
us an analogy.
Okay, so let's say you need to drive your car. Okay. In order for your car to get moving, you first need to start the engine, right? So by starting the engine and letting the engine run, it will still consume fuel. So that's like bare minimum that is required for any car that needs a petrol.
Yep.
But the moment that you want the car to get moving, you will start to use more fuel. Okay. And the faster you drive, the more it consumes. So basically, in order for us to stay alive, okay, there's something called basal metabolic rate. It's the bare minimum of calories that you need to burn to just be alive. So that means if you were to just lie on a bed, do nothing, whole day, you will burn about 70% of the total energy expenditure. But there are also other elements that will require you to burn more calories, use more energy. So they can be classified into physical activity related or not. So let's talk about the not part. Do you know that actually by eating, you are also burning calories?
For the sake of this podcast, no, I don't know. I mean, I'm a coach, but I'm supposed to know, but...
Okay, so anyway, for you to consume any food, okay, take more calorie in, you are needed to burn some calories. So because you need to digest it and etc. But that takes up about only 10%. Okay, so please don't have this takeaway that you can burn more calories by eating more. It doesn't work that way, all right? But the other part, the physical activity expenditure of energy is what we want to talk a lot more today, which is classified into exercise or non-exercise. Now, why is it important that we have this distinction? Because a lot of people, right, they want to lose weight. Yeah. The first thing that they think of, okay, I need to exercise to have more calorie burn so that I can lose weight. It's true to a certain extent, but it's also incorrect.
Yeah, because how much can you burn with an hour of exercise?
Correct.
And another question is, how many hours can you even exercise or train in the gym?
Yep. Then what should we do if exercise is not actually burning as much calories as we would like? That is where we look into NEAT. All right. NEAT includes anything that you do, staying awake, that involve moving your body.
But unplanned.
In a way, unplanned because you don't do it intentionally. You do it because you have to do it. Like for example, someone who has a very physical job that requires them to move around. In a way, it's unintentional because the job requires them to move a lot more. But it's also not like, oh, I have to go for a 30-minute walk out in the park because I need to increase my step. I think the confusion comes in is because people measure NEAT by step counts.
Yeah.
But step count is just a form of measure of NEAT.
It's
not
one
definite.
of the most easiest measurement for
Correct.
NEAT.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So if you move a lot, automatically your step count increases. But aside from step count, like fidgeting, if you listen to music and then your body sways, it's unintentional. But you are also, again, moving your body. So that can be counted as NEAT.
Correct. Okay, thanks for clarifying what NEAT really is. Let's circle back into, just now you mentioned about some people have to do it, unintentionally, but it's also part of their lifestyle where NEAT has to happen. So that brings us to factors that influence NEAT, right? We are going along the lines of like environmental factors, occupational factors. Maybe let's talk about that.
When it comes to environmental factors, right, one thing that we need to start looking into is why is NEAT even a thing? These days, a lot of things that we do in our lives becomes very, very convenient. Okay? So we don't have to move our body so much.
Yep.
That's why it reduces our need. However, people who needs to do more in terms of their job, put it this way, if I were to compare someone who works in a restaurant as a waiter and someone who works in the office sitting down in front of the desk 9 to 5.
Chair bound, yeah.
Correct. Of course, a person who works in a restaurant has a lot more opportunity to complete the need or achieve their need because they're on the feet all the time.
Yeah.
And they don't do it intentionally. It's just because the job requires them to do that. So that's where we need to look into our lifestyle and try and dissect what are the environment factors that we can look into to increase the opportunity of allowing NEAT to happen.
All right, now that we understand clearly what NEAT really is, maybe we could help the listeners differentiate what is the difference between a structured exercise and NEAT and its importance in overall activity level.
I think by the definition itself, right, NEAT is non-exercise. So let's compare what do we experience when we exercise. Usually, exercise is more intense and it's very structured. You don't go to a gym and just exercise lah. No, it's not like that. Like you go to the gym.
Actually, some people do lah.
But that is intentional. You know that you go to the gym, you need to lift some weights. You need to get onto the treadmill for a certain period of time.
You need to open a yoga mat or something like that.
Yes, correct. And nevertheless, we are also talking about certain movement is very structured. But NEAT is not. NEAT is anything but structured. Like for you to get out from the chair, for you to right now sitting and then tapping your fingers, shaking your legs, those are NEAT. So the thing is, exercise are also quite intense. Very few people exercise and then feel like they've done nothing. Where else NEAT?
Again, questionable.
Hey, don't like that. I mean,
Okay lah, we are
sessions,
talking about those who train with a coach. Maybe we can say that is more certain. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. But then again, intensity does matter.
Yep,
So
yep.
most people, when they exercise, they do sweat. The intensity is at least moderate to vigorous. But NEAT is not. NEAT is something that you can do for a long period of time, hours, where you wouldn't be able to achieve that by exercising. Disclaimer, exclude marathon, exclude triathlon, Exclude Ironman.
Yes, because those are sports related, so that is not under need. So I guess you've clarified one differentiation point, which is exercise is something that requires a certain amount of intensity and structure, whereas need is a bit more subconscious and it's things that you just do on a daily basis. Like even me moving my hand right now, this is need. So what about on the differentiation when it comes to the need? Does it mean the NEED of need? Does it mean that, which is better, need or proper training session? If I do one, then the other I don't need to do.
So here comes need to be a sciencey again. Need has its benefit. Structured exercise also has its benefit. They are not meant to substitute one another. For example, if someone moves a lot on a daily basis. So for example, a maid that does house chores. She's already moving like almost 10 hours. But does that mean that she doesn't need exercise? Not necessarily.
Why is that?
So, like we said, exercise is very structured. Exercise, usually we are looking for a certain outcome.
Yes.
For example, increase in muscle mass, increase in muscular endurance, increase in muscular strength. So those are the things that allows you to do more in your daily life without feeling there is a limitation or threshold. Because need is low intensity, means it allows you to stay active throughout the day. That has also proven that it mitigates a lot of chronic diseases or metabolic diseases. So doing a lot of exercise vigorously doesn't actually substitute or replace the benefit of need, because come to think of it, if you just exercise 30 minutes a day vigorously, but you end up sitting 8 to sometimes even 12 hours sedentary, it doesn't feel right. It's not right.
It comes back to what your body is designed to do, right? That's why not moving enough or having very, very low levels of inactivity will lead towards health and structural issues, right? Okay, thanks for clarifying that. So, what factors influence one's need?
I guess occupation is the most straightforward one, because if you look at someone who is working in a restaurant, they have to serve food, take orders, and they're on the feet all the time. Of course, their need is going to be a lot higher compared to someone who sits in the office in front of the desk from 9 to 5.
Correct. Including hairstylists also have higher needs, construction workers, Singaporean citizens. We just came back from Singapore and we just realized wow, every day you can hit at least minimum 15k steps, 15 to 25k.
In fact, our first day we hit close to 25k.
25k. Of course, we were very excited tourists as well. So therefore, the extra steps to want to see this, see that.
Fun fact, one of the reasons why people can afford to eat a little bit more when they travel is because unconsciously they will walk more. They will be touring around to look for good food. So that gives you a buffer to eat more, because you are actually burning more calories.
You're using more energy, correct. That's why a lot of our clients will come back from holiday, especially when they visit countries where walking is more accessible, places like Japan.
Anywhere but Malaysia.
Yeah, Malaysia not so safe to walk around too much lah, but yeah. And they will come back and say, how come I eat so much but I didn't gain that much weight? I'm so surprised by it. So here you go. This is your explanations, because you are expending a lot of those energy that you consume by moving, and that's your need. Now we know that what need really is and what factors influence need. Other than occupation, I think that makes it very clear. Occupation and environment, right? The environment affects that person's job requirement to move.
Kila, I think when we talk about environment, right, one thing that I would like to highlight it's convenience is not a good thing.
In this context.
Convenience is good for us because it makes things a lot more effective. It saves time, it saves energy, but it goes back to what is it doing to our body? We start to move less. So many things that we do conveniently is actually leading us down a road whereby it will be inconvenient when we get older, because our health gets affected.
I guess what we're trying to say here is convenience, which developed, over time with modernization. Everything is more faster, easier, less of your movement is required. Therefore, it started this conversation about need. Last time, I think there wasn't so much attention towards NEAT. No one is talking about being intentional about NEAT because it wasn't a huge issue, right?
In fact, the first journal that was published that proves NEAT has a significant role in helping weight management was only published in 1999. So that was only 30 years ago?
Yeah.
Anything before, it wasn't significant. Or there isn't much that really looked into NEAT itself. So it coincides with when modernization comes in.
And when obesity became more of an issue, right?
Yes, correct.
All right, great. So let's dive deeper into NEAT and its impact on health. We are going to cover 3 things. 1, the energy balance. That is why we often relate NEAT towards a more wholesome approach towards fat loss. Secondly, would be the health effects of inactivity, and then thirdly, possible benefits towards mental health as well. All right, maybe you can start with the energy balance and how NEAT relates to our health.
Actually, I would start with second point, inactivity. Because a lot of the health issue happens because of inactivity. Like we have mentioned in our previous episode, our body is designed to move. So back then, before modernization, a lot of things that we do in life requires us to move our body. But as things get more and more convenient, we get more and more inactive. We get more and more sedentary. And that directly influences our NEAT because we stop moving more.
Yep.
From there, all sort of things happen, which comes back to your first question or topic, how does it affect energy balance?
Yep.
So we know these days it's very easy to gain weight, very easy to have a problem of, I want to lose more fat because I'm kind of almost getting into the obese state and etc. How does that work? We know that we need to eat, have calorie input so that we can stay alive.
Yep.
Okay, so there is a balance between how much calorie we eat and how much calorie we burn. Problem with having lesser and lesser activity, we don't know that we are actually reducing our opportunity to burn calories. So that's one part of the picture. The other part of the picture is that food are getting tastier these days, a lot more palatable, adding on to processed food and etc. The calorie intake that we tend to have these days can easily skyrocket without us knowing.
What I'm hearing here has to do with also the issue of awareness, right?
Yeah, correct.
Lack of awareness that your movement has reduced and lack of awareness that your calories consumption have increased.
Yes, yeah. Before people know it, the scale is no longer balanced, but it's favoring one side a lot more than the other. Because of that, people start looking into, how do we work around things so that we can have more calorie output and sustainably?
Yes.
That is where NEAT comes in. Now, going back to the health issue. So what happens with obesity is when too much calories, we do not actually need so much energy or calorie in us, we start storing them.
Yes.
And compound on years by years. We gain weight without knowing, what actually happened.
Yeah, usually people blame it on aging lah.
No, it's because of physical inactivity.
Yes.
So that is one thing. The second health issue that is quite common is type 2 diabetes. Our body, again, is designed to move. And when we do movement, our body start knowing what to do with the blood sugar that we have in our body. When we consume sugar, ideally, our muscles start moving and use up sugar as an energy.
Yep.
If we stop moving, but we still eat high sugar content food, sugar tend to stay in the blood system for a while.
Stagnant.
Yeah, not exactly stagnant, but it rises up. The body has its own mechanism to prompt the muscles to take in the glucose, remove it away from our bloodstream and start utilizing it. But because we don't do movement anymore, so even though, the insulin is released to tell the muscles and cells, start utilizing sugar, but we don't move. So it just doesn't recognize the signal anymore. And that's why the term of insulin insensitivity. It's not that people don't have insulin. It's just that the body stops responding to insulin and causes a rise in blood sugar level. And that causes a whole new level of issues.
What about coronary heart disease, blood pressure?
Okay, so those are also other chronic diseases that is commonly affecting other people. How can we tie it to NEAT? If I were to use our blood circulation system with an analogy of pipe, we want our pipe to be clear, moving, water flowing nicely. Now imagine our drainage system. It's actually quite funny because we keep seeing this ads that says we need to clear up our drainage system so that dengue doesn't happen. Anything that's stagnant, right, it kind of stay there and then bad things will happen.
Yeah.
Now, when we are sedentary, we literally is inviting this
we are letting our longkang grow
get clogged up.
dirty.
Yes,
And
correct. Because things need to start moving. Things need to be cleared off. But if we don't prompt our body to do that, get blood flow going all the time, bad cholesterol starts to clog up the arteries. And then it builds up when there is no flushing. So
efficient flow at least. Can't say that our blood doesn't completely flow when we're not moving, but
yeah, it does, but minimally. So it's like if you have a clogged up drain, you try to use a very slow adding water. It's not gonna move things away.
Yep.
And likewise, if a clogged up drainage, do you think one whole gush of pail of water is going to clear things off? No, it has to be an ongoing flow of movement. That's why if you exercise for 30 minutes and you sit for 8 to 12 hours, it doesn't work.
Okay. Now we understand the effect of inactivity towards energy balance and towards your internal organs. What about the possibility of benefit towards mental health?
Okay, so it's not actually a correlation, but it's more like research has found that people who has mental health issues, they have lesser need because they tend to isolate themselves more.
So it's not like a direct benefit or
But
cause.
they found that people who have this issue tend to have lesser need. And of course, they are less motivated to interact with the world as well, or to get out and moving. So is it possible that if we increase the opportunity of interacting, could that have a relationship or a positive relation to mental health? Maybe.
But this makes me excited to point out that in our previous episode, we talked about stress and how stress also is one of the signs of your body, or the agitation that you get from stress is a sign that your body also wants to move. That, you can see the whole link here towards your emotions, mental health, and how it helps you regulate things, movement.
When you talk about that, right, I also want to add on that you can say depression is one end of the spectrum of mental health. Whereby the entire nervous system is just so down-regulated that you don't want to do anything. Whereas the other end of the spectrum is anxiety, which is the agitation, you want to move. That is overactivation of the nervous system.
Right.
So neither of them are in balance, but movement can try to bring them back to a more balanced point, some form of reset. So that's why movement can be useful to manage stress, but at the same time can also be useful to help depression. It's just bringing things back to more of a
harmony.
Yeah, correct.
All right, very cool. So now that we get a better idea of how NEAT has so many benefits other than just weight loss, but it's so pivotal for us to just have a better quality of life and maintain our health. Let's talk about strategies to incorporate more NEAT to our daily routines. Now, we did highlight that with modernization, with everything being more convenient, yes, NEAT might reduce, non-exercise activity might reduce, but how can we bring it back into our lives?
So one thing right now that I really, really want to do, but I try not to do too much, is to move a lot. And also actually, one thing is I'm feeling a little bit tight sore around my shoulder. Okay. So that's actually a sign that your body is telling you to do something. So you are in front of the computer a lot for a long time, and then you get I got sore neck, sore back. Automatically, what you want to do is to stretch.
Right.
To move.
Wow, our body has amazing ways of prompting us, right?
Yeah, correct. But then again, coming back to a proper strategy, I would say make your life more inconvenient.
Wow, that's so simple and so smart. Well, to fix the problems that convenience causes us is to do the reverse, make your life more inconvenient.
Yeah. Okay. So to give an example, let's say you are actually a desk-bound worker. We need to drink water, right? And I believe most people will have either a glass of water on their table or a bottle of water. Naturally, you want to get a bigger glass, a bigger bottle, so that you don't have to keep refilling. So what if we go the other way around? What if we start to use a smaller cup, smaller bottle, you finish off your drink and go to the pantry and refill. So that increases your opportunity to move around in the office.
Yes.
That's one thing that I think is a pretty smart hack.
Yeah, and you give your brain a bit of a break. You don't just work non-stop. Intervals have shown to be more helpful in productivity. What else?
You see, we didn't really explain a lot about the intentional and non-intentional, right? Part of movement. So when you want to do something, you ask it to do something, usually there is resistance. So it's like, okay, I need to plan to increase my need by walking 5,000 steps.
Then we start to think of excuses why we can't do that.
What? 5,000 I don't want lah. So during the Singapore trip, we went to the conference, right?
Okay,
the convention
context. We just came back from Singapore.
for a conference, and then it was in a hotel. The hotel has staircase, and then lift by the side of the staircase. So naturally, people would walk up the escalator instead of walking up the stairs. So that is another way, in a way of...
Actually, the building already give you the option, right?
Yeah,
you want to have your need today or you don't want to have your need today.
Yes, correct. If you think of, walking up the stairs, so mafan, then of course, it's not going to happen. But if you just walk up without thinking, then why not?
I guess there are many options for different people with different environmental factors, different occupational factors to try to achieve need in your life. You have to figure out what works for you. But the overall concept is, like she said, just simplify things. How do you make your life just a little bit more inconvenient?
Yes.
It sounds very funny, but yeah. So this brings me to, I'm going to throw May a few questions that we've compiled from our trainers. These are FAQs that they've gathered from their clients in regards to need and the common things that they're curious about or they face issues with in regards to need. Number 1, do I still need to do need on days that I work out in the gym?
Can I ask you the question? Were you paying attention to what I said just now?
Okay, so the answer is yes, you still need to do need on days that you work out because it's not the same thing.
How? Why?
Because one is more structured, right? Your exercise and your training in the gym, and it achieves different objectives like your muscular endurance, yes, building muscle mass,
Yes.
Increasing your skill in your movement. But whereas need, how to explain really?
Okay. So need doesn't replace exercise. Exercise doesn't replace need because they have different outcome.
Well said. Okay.
So because exercise is not necessarily sustainable due to its high intensity or moderate to high intensity. Whereas need is something that you can really do easily and there is no excuse to do it. And we know that it has a huge benefit to health-related issues.
There you go. Question number 2. Is jogging and swimming considered as need?
What do you think?
No.
Why?
Because it's sports related. It is planned. It's not the same. A+ for me. Okay, number 3. I work an 8 to 5 office job. And by the time I get home and settle in, it is already very late. How do I get need into my schedule?
So I guess it's very much related to what we have spoken just now. How can you make your life a bit more inconvenient in office? But aside from that, there are also other strategies that you can go for. But do look into what you like most. First thing first, we know that work stress, the intensity of rushing for task completion, all of that is already making you feel like, I'm so overwhelmed. You mean I need to do another task? Need is not supposed to be an additional task. Need supposed to be unintentional, unplanned in a way whereby it happens. So start looking into your life where we can stack on top of what is already happening in your life.
Yep, habit stacking.
Correct. So for example, if let's say you already have kids at home and you know that you are going to spend at least 30 minutes to an hour with your kids. So instead of sitting in front of the TV watching Netflix or even watching Baby Shark,
which is not the best quality time with your kid anyway.
Yep. Why not take them out to a park? Go for a walk. Play with them. Because kids are actually very active. They are the one category that you don't have to worry about needs because they like to be active. So you playing with them literally just increase your need without making it feels like it's a task because you love your kids so much. But for people who don't have kids, it's not the end of the world. If you have pets, you can also play with them. Walking your dogs, playing with your cats, let them jump around, stroke them. Those are also additional movement that you will be doing on a day-to-day basis anyway.
So if I don't have kid, I don't have pet, then how?
Then we start looking into what are the things that you have to do in your day. For example, going for lunch. We all know that we need to have work-life balance. But to be honest, how many people actually eat their lunch at office and rushing for work? A lot. Because people stop separating rest properly. So if we know that we need to take a break, we know that lunchtime is a designated time for you to pause, then instead of having lunch in your office calling for Grab food, why not go out for lunch? Have a proper break time for yourself. Get out of the office. If there is canteen, go down to the canteen. If not, go to neighboring buildings and then enjoy your meal. Come back and have a fresher, well, it depends on how full you have for your lunch as well. Your second half of the workday may be better because you have a proper break.
All right. Question number 4. If I'm an elderly or someone with mobility limitations, how does NEAT apply to me?
Okay, this is why exercise is important. Because a lot of elderlies, they think as they get older, they just cannot move lah. I'm old already lah. I got aches and pains. But imagine if you have already practiced a pretty active lifestyle and you have been exercising, allowing your body to move because you have good muscle mass, you have strong bones, strong joints, then NEAT wouldn't be an issue as you get older.
Okay, so that's prevention lah.
Yeah, that's prevention. Yeah. We do see a decrease in NEAT in elderlies because they are fearful of falling. They are fearful of moving because what if I break my bone? What if this? The safest way is just to stay on a sofa. So that's the reason why elderly people get reduction in that.
But sometimes it's not the elderly that have that fear. It's their kids that tell them, hey, don't move so much. Don't move so much.
You're right.
Ma, just sit down. Let me do for you.
So this podcast is to actually help kids to build awareness for their parents as well, is that do encourage them to move more. When our parents doesn't want to move more, I guess the way to go around it is where family support starts to be very important. So actually, it's a very good thing if your parents still wants to go out for grocery shopping. They still want to meet up with their friend Yamcha. They still want to go out for a park to walk. Things that they are willing to do. As families, we need to actually empower them. Yeah. If there is really like a fear of, what if they fall, or what if they accidentally slip a steps or anything, then I guess this is where, as younger ones, we then really need to spend more time to do those activities together.
Yep.
Yeah. But for people who has mobility issues, let me clarify. You're talking about like aches and pains that
So those like that complain like, I cannot stand too long, I cannot walk too much because I have certain limitations because of pain or maybe past injury.
Okay. So then, first thing first, seek professional help to solve the pain issue, to actually look into why is there pain in the first place. Because pain is the biggest problem right here. Because of pain, you don't want to move more. And then because you're moving lesser, cascade down to a whole lot of issues. So address the pain, seek out whether it's physio, doctor, whatsoever, get it diagnosed, what is causing the pain. Then from there, you can start doing a little bit more physical activity, more movement, without having that thought at the back of my head, should I be actually moving more? Am I making it worse?
Yep. Seek help first, address the issue, the pain, and then once that is out of the way and you working on it with someone that can support you, for example, coaches at Move Private Fitness, only we look towards achieving more NEAT. For everyone, the journey looks a little bit different lah. Next one. Walk and step counts are too boring to me. I don't feel motivated. What else can I do to boost my NEAT? For this one, I would like to clarify that steps are just one of the modality to achieving NEAT. And it's an easy one because most of us everyone who don't have issues walking can walk and we have to walk. It's an easy, low-hanging fruit and most of us will be able to track it either with your phone, which is less accurate, or your smartwatch. And tracking does help set a baseline and help you know where to progress towards. But it's not the only way. It's just the easiest, most common way. So other ways I think May has mentioned just now. If you don't like tracking and you don't like walking, which is weird, there are other creative ways, which is habit stacking onto things that you already existingly do, but add a bit more creativity, a little bit of inconvenience towards it, find out how you can enjoy it.
Yeah, I guess one thing that we can also look into, like window shopping, is very underestimated
and can be costly for those who have an impulse towards shopping.
That one have to have a bit more self-discipline, like window shopping.
You achieve NEAT and you train your self-control.
Yes, correct. Habit stacking.
Next question. How many calories can I burn if I achieve 10k steps or if I do a 30-minute walk? 10k steps because everyone likes to say the target is 10k.
You won't like this answer.
What is it?
It depends.
It depends. Okay, depends on what?
Okay, it depends on your body weight. It depends on how fast you're walking. It depends on the terrain that you're walking. If you're walking flat or you're walking stairs. So that's why it depends.
Yep, it depends. If you want to know more, get a coach to talk to you. Alright, next. How to start building awareness on my baseline of NEAT without using smartwatches. How can NEAT be measured or quantified if I don't have any activity trackers? Do you have any general guidelines?
Yes, of course. We already know that NEAT is important because it was caused by physical inactivity. So what if we start measuring how long of a duration that you have been sedentary? That is a very good way of measuring a baseline. Okay. Because you may not keep looking at your trackers to know how many steps you have done. Some people may not have that device, but it's pretty easy to track how long have you been sitting in front of the TV. You know, especially like weekends, easily people just sit in front of the TV, lie on the bed to watch Netflix. If you tend to lie for like 6 episodes, not getting out of your chair or your bed, then you know next time you need to improve 4 episodes. 4 episodes, then you have to start getting up. And then slowly drop it down to 2 episodes. And preferably go out of the house and don't Netflix at home lah.
Or for me, if I watch horror shows, I would do more NEAT because as I get kanchiong, I would jump on the sofa. Okay lah, no lah, but I like that how you can, instead of tracking your activity, you track your inactivity. It could be like your hours in the office that you sit down and you don't move at all and you're just finishing your task.
Got another smart strategy. Don't sit down for your meeting. Start walking as you do your meeting.
Oh, okay, that's two. Like, what other strategies for achieving it? If you're a boss of a company or a leader of a team and you run your meetings, get everyone to stand, go around the table.
Take out the chairs from your meeting room.
Yes. And if I am doing 2 to 3 times of training a week, do I still need NEAT? Can I skip NEAT if I am willing to commit to vigorous exercise 6 times a week?
Hi-yo, I need to borrow Uncle Roger's favourite quote lah. Cannot lah. Already say ma, they achieve 2 different purposes. Why you want to substitute?
Aiyo, yeah lah.
Okay, vigorous exercise is non-sustainable. A lot of people are not aware that if you do a very rigorous exercise, right, you will end up so tired that you don't want to move for the rest of the day. So that significantly reduces your need. So that's why do not think that one should be substituting another. Okay, I understand that time is a limiting factor. And that is where we want to do things a little bit more holistically, moderately, by doing a bit of everything. Not just go all out in one and sorry, I don't have anything left.
It's true. Anyway, vigorous exercise, like you said, won't last long. It's not a good habit to build anyway, because as coaches, so we understand programming, you want to prioritize recovery.
Yep,
so
correct.
You don't want to overdo things and lead to the point of exhaustion and diminishing returns.
Actually, it's very demotivating that you work so hard and then you unconsciously reduce your need that doesn't help you with weight loss or increasing calorie output, and then you try day in, day out, no result, and you end up giving up. That's the main reason why sustainability is not there. It's not that you can't do it, but in the long run, it doesn't benefit you.
It's not the most efficient way. Yeah. And last question, based on energy balance, I need to reduce energy output to put on weight. These are for the guys that want to build more muscle mass, want to gain more size. So is reducing NEAT my priority?
Okay, put it this way lah. I use this analogy. If you want to get rich, do you think you can get rich by saving more, by cutting expenditure? Or do you get rich by earning more, getting more income?
Right, that's a good one.
Yeah, so of course, if you want to gain weight, which we know it has to do with energy balance, that means it makes more sense for you to go and look into your nutritional section.
Calorie surplus.
Yes, correct. Compared to reducing your calorie expenditure. It's not good for your health anyway.
Just circling back to the fact that NEAT is so much more than just your body composition benefits lah.
Yep.
It's what your body is designed to do. So we're nearing the end of this discussion about NEAT, and I think one of the biggest takeaways is that now that we understand what NEAT really is and its impact on our health, so much more than just body composition benefits, I feel that we need to remember that everybody needs NEAT, and NEAT is not the same as your exercise or your training, but in fact every day we can all benefit from being more creative in how to incorporate more movement in our life, intentionally but unintentionally.
Yes.
So yeah, thanks for listening, everybody, and we hope this empowers you to move well, move more, and live more. If you enjoyed this episode, please help us reach more people by sharing this on your socials. And if you've got a question for us, just slide it into our Move Instagram DM, which is Move Private Fitness, and we will see what we can do. Join us next time for more practical lessons and inspiration to help you improve your overall quality of life. In the meantime, keep moving well, feeling well, and living more. So, goodbye.
Keep fidgeting. Bye-bye.
Keep fidgeting.